morning and welcome to another edition of Distance Learning 101 here on ABC WTVA. I'm Greg Ellis, and it's a special show today as I'm joined by Susan Dudley, our instructor for Project Search, and we are so excited about this new program. It launched in August,
yes.
And I'm going to kind of let you define it. It's a partnership we have with the hospital and others, and it's for our special needs students, of 8 students to be exact. And it's just been an incredible internship. Not the ending that we wanted, but I think
Not
we can
the ending.
all say that about that. So let's talk about Project Search, how that came about, what it is, and then our partnerships with that.
Project Search is a nationwide program that started at Cincinnati Children's Medical Center back in the early 90s. And so it's been around for quite a while. There's a lot of programs throughout the United States, well over 600 at this point.
Oh, wow.
Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services is the force behind getting it started here. They approached us 2 years ago and wanted to know if we wanted to participate, if we could get a host business here. And we said yes, certainly. It was a great opportunity for our students to have an internship to transition between high school and adulthood and going to work. And so we, in conjunction with Mississippi Department of Rehab Services, approached the hospital, North Mississippi Health Services, and they agreed to allow us to use their business as a host business. And so through that process, we now have a classroom there. We now have intern sites there, and it's been a great experience for all the students.
We're the second school district to participate in this in Mississippi.
There was one school district in 2018-2019. They added 4 more in 2019-20. So right now there are 5 throughout the state, and they will be adding 4 more for next school year. So we will have 9 within the state.
What an incredible opportunity for these students as they, as you said, make the transition from school to adulthood. Now, there are some regulations they have to meet, such as they have to be in their last year of high school. Is
Yes,
that correct?
They have to be in their last year of high school. They have to be eligible for VOC rehab services.
Okay.
They do have to be a student with a disability.
Gotcha. Now, we had 8 in the initial cohort. How did they qualify? Was there a qualification committee, or I'm not sure what the correct terminology is, but how were these 8 chosen?
They are chosen. They have to fill out an application, and then we have a interview that they have to attend, and there's an interview committee, and then we also have a skills assessment that they participate in. And through the interview and the skills assessment, we can, and then teacher recommendations, we can also see if they've got the beginning skill set needed to be a successful intern.
Gotcha. I must say, personally, this was one of the most rewarding things I worked with this year. It was. I remember the press conference day at the hospital, the first day the students came. It was absolutely amazing, and to see how these kids bought in and were excited, and not just the kids, and their parents. It was an incredible day to sit and watch as we launched it. Of course, we worked on it for quite a while leading up to it. That might have been why. Like, whoa, okay, it's here now. Now let's get to work. But can you describe? I mean, obviously, there's 8 different jobs that these kids are doing at the same time, and we know they rotate. But I want to kind of talk about what a typical day, although it's not going to be typical because each one is different, but kind of take us to the process. You also had to up your education a little bit.
I did.
Get a bus license.
I had to learn to drive the big yellow bus.
And you passed your test,
and I passed my test.
So how would a day start? Take us through the process of leaving the high school to lunch to the end of the day, and then how their rotations evolved.
Well, the way the year started was a little different than the way we ended. When we finished up before spring break, we had changed our schedule a little bit, but we would leave the high school in the mornings between 8 and 8:10 and arrive at their intern sites between 8:15 and 8:30, and I would just drop them off because many of the intern sites for North Mississippi Medical Center are not under the main unit roof. They are surrounding the hospital. And all of the interns then would take lunch with their departments that they were interning for. And some of them would have lunch at 11, some at 11:30, some would not go to lunch till 12 o'clock. But it just depended on when their
Right.
department took lunch. And they would then be able to eat lunch with their coworkers. Or if they chose, if they were in the main unit, they could go to the food court for lunch. I would pick them up at the end of their day, which was at 1:30. They would come back to the classroom and we would have class time where we work on the Project Search curriculum that prepares them for living independently.
Okay.
It's more life skills that we worked on there.
Can you give us a little bit of examples of what that would look like?
We worked a lot with learning technology. We worked with financial literacy,
Okay.
employability skills, learning how to fill out job applications, how to interview, how to dress.
Gotcha.
We did a lot of things with conflict resolution. You know, if you've got conflict on the job, how do you deal with it? We participated in a lot of team building activities to learn to be a team member and able to work with their coworkers within their jobs when they get them.
So major life skills we all need.
Major life skills, a lot of soft skills, things
Right.
that it's not really something you can walk away and say, I can build this, but it's things that you're able to do
Right.
and get along socially with your coworkers.
Each one had a supervisor. What kind of feedback have you gotten from this first year from the supervisors?
I think the supervisors probably have gained as much from the experience as these students did. They've been super. We started the year with just 8 intern sites. Our last rotation started at the end of February. We had 2 weeks in before spring break, and we had 12 different sites at that point that were willing to take an intern.
Awesome.
So it's growing throughout the hospital, and depending on the skills of the students and the requirements of the intern site, we can place students now that match their ability levels.
And then feedback from parents. I'm sure they saw their children blossom throughout this whole
The
process.
parents have been tickled to death with it, and they're like me. They're ready for them to get that first job. They're ready for them to get that first paycheck, and we're excited when the economy allows us to find jobs and go back to work.
There you go. Well, I've worked with you with this on day one, and your excitement level is very evident today. But I got to see it from the start with you, and I know what this has meant to you personally. You've probably gotten as much out of this yourself as they
Yes.
have, because it's been a career change for you. Just
It has. I've been an educator all my life. That's the only job I've ever had in a school building.
Right.
And to actually get out into the rest of the work world, I've learned as much as the students have learned, because I've never had a job in that position before.
Right.
So I have had to learn with them.
I know as a district, we went out, we've done videos with these kids, and I learned a lot. I had no idea all the surrounding buildings throughout town that dealt with the hospital, the sterilization, the laundry, the child care, the list goes on and on and on. I had, these are buildings I drove past every day, never paid attention, and I didn't realize, in the back of your mind, when it comes to a hospital, there's a lot involved. Mm-hmm. But wow. When we went and visited all these sites, it was absolutely amazing.
It is. I'm with you. I did not know what went on behind the scenes. And that's where our intern sites have been. It's behind the scenes. It's not with direct patient care,
Right.
but it takes so many different people and so many different departments to keep the hospital as a whole running.
Absolutely. And of course, you had several in the hospital that we got to visit as well, from sterilization to the cafeteria. And it was great when we would talk to their supervisors. And anything you do is about relationships. And
It
they
is.
had connected on those relationships and made those relationships. And there was a lot of respect on both sides going back and forth.
Yes, there were. And it took the interns quite a while to learn to open up and talk to them. But that's what a lot of the supervisors would tell me by the end of their internship, is that they were amazed at how much their communication skills had changed from the beginning to the end.
Right. Again, it's a learning process. It's not just the job. It's everything that's involved to prepare them for society. We're going to kind of dive in to talk about each one of our 8 interns, what they did. Of course, they did the rotation. So we're going to go ahead and start, and we're probably going to get cut off by a commercial break, but let's go ahead and start with the interns, their names, and of course we got pictures that you'll see of these students in their field. So I'm going to let you talk about each one.
Our first intern is Allie Kate Braddock. She loves working with children, so her first internship was at the Child Care Center. And she learned a lot of new skills. She chose to work with the 1-year-olds there. Her mentors and supervisors there said she did a great job, and she would just interact with the students. It came naturally to her. Her next internship was at Longtown in the Outpatient Rehabilitation Center. And she was there not necessarily to work with the clients or patients that were coming in, but she was there again doing one of those behind the scenes things. She kept all of their equipment clean. She kept all of their linen stocked, and all of the exam rooms are in the gym area where the people would work out. She also helped in their main office with filing, and she sat there with Miss Margaret at the desk when you enter, sometimes just greeting the people as they came through the door. So she gained a lot of different skills, experiences that she had not done before.
I remember when we videoed her with the babies in the nursery,
They loved her.
They loved her, and she loved them
Yes.
too. So,
Yes.
all right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at the other 7 interns and what they've been going through. This is Distance Learning 101. Welcome back to Distance Learning 101. I'm Greg Ellis, and today I'm joined by Project Search instructor Susan Dudley, who's been with the Tupelo Public School District for how many years?
Since 1998.
So you not only know our students, you understand the district and how it works, and this past years we talked about in the first segment has been very different for you.
Yes.
With Project Search, going to the hospital and to the different areas of working with these internships. Before the break, we were talking about our internships, so let's talk about our other interns and what all they've been doing.
Our next intern is Leah Coleman. She, her first internship was at Central Sterile Processing, and after the first 2 days she was there, she said, "This is going to be my job. This is where I'm going to work." She loved it. She worked in the area called decontamination, where they bring in the surgical tools and they have to be sorted and cleaned and run through the washers and sterilized and then repacked so they can go back out to all the surgery centers.
We got to go out there that same day, and it was like Fort Knox. I mean, there's places you can't go, and it's understandable for
Yes,
for their sanitation process.
It's a sterile environment, and you have to get all suited up in order to go back there where they work.
I remember filming her through the doors, because
Yes.
obviously we could not go in.
No.
We didn't want to, infect anything.
No, her second rotation was in supply processing and distribution, and she was in an area where she was actually cleaning and sterilizing the IV pumps and the leg compression pumps and the IV poles, the things that are actually in the patient's rooms.
Right.
And then once she would get them cleaned, she would put them back in the system to be checked back out and used again.
Great.
And then her last rotation, she went back to Central Sterile Processing. That is still her dream job, so hopefully at some point she will get to be hired there.
She found her passion.
She found her passion.
Which is what this is about.
Yes.
So.
Our next intern is Shania Cook. Shania started her first internship in the laundry, and she loved it. It was working with the linen finishers, and she's had learned how to use most of the automatic machines, all the folding machines, and then she was also responsible for, as they came down the conveyor belt from the machines, taking them, sorting them, and putting them in the different carts. So the ladies that filled orders for all of the different clinics and hospitals could then pick and choose and pack the carts for delivery.
And that job had a little added thing to it with heat, because I remember how hot it was.
It was very hot in there.
It was warm.
But let me tell you, as the winter went on, it was nice
It was
in
very
there.
nice with all the steam and the cleaning. Oh my gosh, it was. I remember sweating. Of course, I think we did it in September, and September in Mississippi is still a little
It's still a
warm.
little warm.
Yeah.
Still a little warm. Her second internship was at the Child Care Center, working in that 1-year-old classroom,
Right.
and she was just a natural. She had told us going in that she was never going to change diapers. Well, she became a pro at changing diapers, not a problem.
How about
She
that?
figured it out, and then her last one, she also went back to the laundry, and that's where she would like to be employed also.
Great.
Now, our next intern would be Joelle Long. Joelle started in biomed, and he was able to work with the guys there, and they taught him how to do preventative maintenance to check and make sure that the IV pumps were working properly, and he could go through the whole process and figure that out. Then they started showing him how to broken pieces to take them off and replace them with pieces that weren't broken, especially the outsides of the machine. A lot of the plastic parts components
Right.
would become broken. And then he moved from there to facility operations, and he worked with them clearing data on one of their computer systems. He also worked with the guys down there taking apart broken machinery to scavenge for usable parts and then to dispose of the parts that were not usable.
So very hands-on.
Very
jobs
hands-on.
that
He loves that kind of work. And then he was working at the Wellness Center for his last rotation, and he was there where he was cleaning the courts and the equipment, and then they were also teaching him to do preventative maintenance on the electronic equipment that's upstairs in the gym area.
Oh, wow. So he really got to see all kind of different facets of,
He did.
of the electronics and replacing. That's
He
awesome.
did. He had a good experience. Our next one is Grace Lucas. Grace started working her first internship in supply processing and distribution, and that is where she was doing one of the same jobs Leah did. She was cleaning the leg compression pumps and the IV pumps and the poles, and when the equipment was clean and sterile, processing it through the computer to put it back into distribution.
Gotcha.
And then she went from there to central sterile processing. She and Leela basically switched places with the first and second, and she was working in decontamination, learning to pull the surgical tools out, sort, clean, run them through the washer for the first sterilization step.
Did she have that same passion for?
She did
that.
not enjoy that as much as she did the first one. She liked the supply processing and distribution better.
Isn't it funny how all had their own one that they really
It
gravitated
really is.
toward?
And then her last internship was at Food Nutrition in the food court area in the pizza prep area. And I think that would probably be her dream job at this point. She discovered she loved working with the food, and she learned how to make pizzas, and she was stocking and keeping the salad bar ready for anybody that would come through.
Great. Wow.
So, the next intern's Mikkel Mallard. His first internship was at Longtown Outpatient Rehab Center.
Okay.
And he was there to make sure that all of the physical therapy mats were clean, all the children's toys that they use for therapy were clean. He also cleaned the exercise equipment that the patients use on the third floor. And then his next internship was at Supply Processing and Distribution, but he was in the shipping and receiving area. He would help the trucks unload, then he would sort the boxes for the different departments, and then he would actually deliver those supplies to the different departments throughout the hospital. He discovered he loved doing that. He likes to be on the move. He likes going. He likes seeing all the different people.
Well, it sounds like each internship fit their personalities perfectly.
Well, that was our goal.
That was the goal.
Sometimes we succeeded, sometimes we didn't. And then his last internship was with emergency services, where he was actually going back to the receiving area to pick up the stock, the supplies for emergency services, and then coming back to their stock room and unpacking and putting it out for use.
Okay.
Dejanay Walker is our next intern. She started her first internship in food and nutrition. She worked within the food court area. She was the one, and in the dining room, she kept all the dining room tables clean. She kept all of the utensils stocked, all of the condiments in the food court area stocked. She kept all of their coolers fronted and made sure that there was plenty of items in there for purchase.
Well, I remember the day that we were out there, and she was one of the interns that we were able to film, and her supervisor said one day she looked up and she was doing this on her own, was cleaning the bottles, you know, the Coke, Pepsi, that was,
Pepsi.
yeah, making sure that they were clean and looked presentable, and
Yes.
she wasn't told to do that. That was just something that she did.
She was very good at organizing, and she enjoyed it. From there, she went to the wellness center where she worked with their cleaning, stocking towels in the locker rooms, keeping the equipment clean. She also worked a good bit. They have like a morning coffee club there, and at the end of the coffee time, she would help clean up the coffee area and get it reset for the next day. And then her last internship was in the education services department.
Okay.
And she helped them to prepare and put together all of the supplies for new employee orientation. And then for their different meetings, she would help make sure the rooms were set up and had all of the required technology components in there. If anything was missing, she could go let someone know that they needed something else there. She was really good at that too. Again, it was some organizational things, and she's pretty good at doing that.
All right. Well, we got 1 minute left, and we got
One intern left. Autumn Wood. She started at the wellness center with the cleaning routine there.
Okay.
She did a wonderful job. She also helped out in their child care center some. From there, she went to the laundry. She really, really liked working in the laundry. She learned really fast there. We were all amazed at how quick she caught on to all the tasks. And then her last internship was in food and nutrition, but she was working in the dish room.
Okay.
And unpacking the carts that came back from patient rooms and running them through the automatic dishwashers.
Well, as you can see, there were countless jobs. I mean, they all got to do different things. And Ms. Dudley, thank you so much for coming in today. But more importantly, thank you for all you did for these kids this past year. We are so excited about the future of this program and where it's going to go. And I would say we're off to a great start already.
We are. And I'm looking forward to next year's group.
Absolutely. For Distance Learning 101, I'm Greg Ellis. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on our next episode.